What if art didn't have to be beautiful? What if art could be angry, chaotic, and deliberately ugly? And that was exactly the point. That is what Dadaism was all about. Today, I'm going to introduce you to one of the most radical artists of the 20th century, Raoul Hausmann, a man who used art as a weapon against war, politics, and everything wrong with society. By the end of this video, you will understand why sometimes chaos is the most honest form of art. Dadaism started around 1915 during World War I. A group of artists, poets, and writers in Zurich, Switzerland were so horrified by the destruction of the war that they decided, if the world makes no sense, then art shouldn't make sense either. They rejected all traditional rules of art. No more beauty, no more logic, no more meaning. Dada was deliberately nonsensical, provocative, and anti-establishment. It was art as protest, art as rebellion. Now let me introduce you to Raoul Hausmann. He was born in July 12, 1886 in Vienna, Austria. He grew up in Berlin, Germany, and from a young age, he was deeply critical of society, politics, and authority. When World War I broke out, Hausmann was outraged, not just by the war itself, but by how the German government and media were manipulating people. He became one of the founding members of the Berlin Dada group in 1918, and he quickly became one of its most radical and outspoken voices. Let me show you three of Hausmann's most important works. First, the art critic. Made in 1990, this is photomontage, meaning it was made by cutting and pasting images from newspapers and magazines together. It shows a figure of an art critic with a German banknote stuck to his ear, suggesting that critics only care about money, not real art. The face is distorted, almost monstrous. Hausmann was mocking the entire art establishment. It's sharp, satirical, and deliberately uncomfortable. Second, ABCD. Made in 1923. This is one of the most famous works. It shows Hausmann's own face with his mouth wide open, surrounded by letters and fragments of the text. It represents his concept of sound poetry, poetry that is more about the sound of words than their meaning. He believed language had been corrupted by politicians and the media, so he wanted to break language down to its rawest, most primal form, just pure sound and noise. Third, the spirit of our time. Made in 1919, this is sculptural work. A wooden mannequin head covered with a random object like a tape, measure, a wallet, a ruler, and a watch mechanism attached to the skull. It represents the average German citizen of the time, someone whose thought and feelings are completely controlled by external forces like money, time, and government. It is one of the most powerful and unsettling political statements in 20th century art. Dadaism didn't last long as a formal movement. By the mid-1920s, it had largely dissolved. By its influence was enormous. It directly inspired surrealism, which took Dada's rejection of logic and turned it into dream-like imagery. It also laid the groundwork for conceptual art, performance art, and punk culture decades later. Hausmann's invention of photomontage became one of the most widely used techniques in graphic design, advertising, and political art. Every time you see a collage or a meme that cuts and pastes images together to make a point, that is Dada legacy. So to wrap up, Dadaism was born from anger, confusion, and a refusal to accept the world as it was, and Raoul Hausmann was one of its most fearless voices. What I find most powerful about his work is that it was never just being aesthetics, it was always about something real, about injustice, about manipulations, about truth, and I think that makes great art timeless. Not how beautiful it is, but how honest it is. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below and share your thought. Thank you for watching.